Hello everybody, I am Sukhi Gill, Chief Technology Officer for DXC Technology in Europe, Middle East and Africa. I would like to introduce you to somebody very special. Dr. Peter Scott Morgan is a celebrated British-American scientist and robotics expert. He has authored 8 best-selling books on robotics and the unwritten rules of society. He is a popular public speaker, has given more than 1,000 speeches, presentations, and workshops in over 30 countries. The press have called him a leading guru on embracing the human face of change. Known for challenging boundaries and social norms, in December 2005, Peter and his husband, Francis Scott Morgan, became the first gay couple in the UK to be legally married with a fully fledged wedding ceremony with over 100 guests, television, and press. In 2017, Peter was diagnosed with motor neuron disease. He was told he had 2 years to live. Peter decided to fight back with what he knew best, science and technology. Following several major surgical procedures to keep him alive, Peter became what some called the world's first cyborg, part human, part machine. One of these surgical procedures was a laryngectomy to keep him breathing. To get this procedure though, Peter had to sacrifice his biological voice. But once again, he had a solution. He worked with leading experts to create a synthetic version of his voice. Using more advanced technology to that of the late scientist Stephen Hawking, who also suffered from motor neuron disease, Peter now communicates with special technology which tracks the movement of his eyes. Peter is working with DXC and a number of technology partners to develop a digital avatar. He calls it Peter 2.0, which is also the title of his new book, which tells his amazing story. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Peter 2.0.
Hello, Sukhi. Hola, Portugal. Thanks so much for inviting me to share my story. I'm delighted to be here with you talking about how technology offers hope to people everywhere and allows us to include those who were not included before.
Peter, we are honored to have you with us today, especially in the form of your avatar. Let's start from the moment of your diagnosis in 2017. What was your reaction to the news? What was going through your mind at that time?
I found myself thinking, die as a man or live as a cyborg. To me, it was a no-brainer. This was to be a terminal disease like no one had seen before. I was going to rise like a phoenix. Cyborg is simply a fancy word for part human, part machine. In my case, what's never been done before is that the most important machine parts of me will be AI, not mechanics. And that all potentially gets a bit weird. Not least because I'm planning to use more and more AI to work with me on everything. Everything from speaking to controlling things to moving about.
Peter, you have been through so much. Please tell us about your current situation.
Of course, Sukhi. My brain is racing away, frantically wanting to communicate with the outside world, to write emails, to work the TV remote, to chip into conversations. But I'm only able to move my eyes. It's like being in my own private universe, only able to tap out Morse code to the rest of you. I need AI to second guess what I'm wanting to communicate. Motor neuron disease, or ALS, may have paralyzed everything except my eyes, but I remain passionate about technology to not just survive, but thrive. So, rather than giving up everything that was important to me, I decided to fight back with science and technology. I see this new challenge not as a setback, but as a unique opportunity to do breakthrough research into how technology can change what it means to be human.
Let's talk about your voice and avatar. Tell us more about how they work.
Since my paralysis and subsequent surgical procedure to keep me breathing, I've lost my ability to speak, at least in the traditional way. Communication has therefore become one of my biggest challenges and priorities. As you can see in this conversation, you're not talking to the Peter of old. You're talking to Peter 2.0, the new me, the real me. This avatar has been developed to help me to communicate with the world, to help me to talk and engage in daily conversations, to represent me in meetings and conferences like this one. A digital version of me that'll show my emotions, laughing, smiling, winking. It'll even eventually show my signature move, raising one eyebrow. Our focus is to ensure full synchronization, meaning the voice, lips, and expressions all work together to express the same emotion. Before I lost my biological voice, I recorded over 20,000 words to help train Peter 2.0. I also had my face scanned to make my avatar a true reflection of me. We captured super high resolution, so once computer power catches up, I'll soon be able to use a photorealistic avatar indistinguishable from a biological human. That's when it'll become really interesting.
I feel very lucky to be working with you on this. I know it is incredibly difficult for an avatar to achieve verbal spontaneity. Can you tell us about some of the challenges?
For sure, this is not easy, and I continue to push boundaries to make it possible. For my avatar to be successful, we need to move beyond a manual control interface. Eye control is too slow for my avatar to fully represent the real me. So we need to use AI to set Peter 2.0 free into the world, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. The vision is for the AI to be able to recognize who I'm talking to, analyze our previous conversations, remember the person's views or hobbies, understand the current context, and suggest a sentence for me to kick off the conversation. The AI will be constantly developing and learning. Of course, I need to train the machine learning system on what kind of answers to provide and make sure Peter 2.0 sounds like the real me. It's still work in progress, but what you're hearing today is already better text-to-speech than anything else out there.
Peter, what are your thoughts on the metaverse? That's been in the headlines a lot recently.
Indeed, recently there's been a lot of excitement about the future of virtual worlds and the metaverse. Actually, the idea of a metaverse is nothing new. People have been exploring it for many years, and Peter 2.0 has long been part of that vision. The truth is that as Peter 2.0, I pine to be part of a virtual world that enables people to come together, communicate, collaborate, and play. This is our chance to execute on the vision so beautifully explored in movies like Avatar. You may remember that Jake, the hero from Avatar, is paralyzed from the waist down. Technology gives him the chance to leave his broken body behind and build a better future in a virtual world. This, for me, is the true potential of the metaverse. But it's important that we act now to ensure that no one is left behind. The metaverse can't be built by any one company or culture. Tech companies need to come together with the communities they serve to ensure that inclusivity is a starting point, not an afterthought of the metaverse.
This brings us to another topic, the Philanthropic Foundation you established with your husband Francis. Tell us a little bit about the Scott Morgan Foundation.
The goal is to give a fair chance to people with extreme disabilities and other life-challenging conditions to maintain an active part in society. This is not only about me. Through the Scott Morgan Foundation, I'm calling on the world's leading experts in artificial intelligence, the metaverse, and robotics to join me in helping to create an inclusive future for everyone. We can reinvent what disability means, and that's 1 in 6 of us. That's a glorious challenge. Every stride in accessible tech shows what is possible to those who are without hope, leading towards a bright, thriving future most never even dared dream of. This isn't just using the power of technology to build better outcomes. This isn't just technology to improve people's lives. I'm talking about us giving people a life.
Peter, that's an absolutely glorious vision. Can you tell us some more about the people supporting the foundation? You sometimes call this a rebel alliance. What's behind that name?
We've assembled an unprecedented coalition of world-class experts from some of the largest and most influential corporations, as well as some of the top specialist firms on the planet. They're technologists, designers, physicians, scientists, and artists from around the world. They're all donating their time and resources to work as one and achieve the Foundation's unparalleled research goals. Together, we'll design and develop self-driving wheelchairs, further the development of digital avatars, and develop smart home technology solutions for people living with extreme disability or other life-challenging conditions. United by our determination to reject norms and to fight back in the face of adversity, this truly is a rebel alliance bringing new hope. We're rebelling against the established order, the unquestioned assumption that disability, even when it's caused by old age, makes us second-class citizens. Our commitment is it won't do for much longer. Together we're changing what it means to be human. Everything we do comes from that mission. We're committed to promoting the right to thrive.
The main thing anyone notices when talking to you is your optimism, hope, and eagerness to thrive. What is your message for others facing extreme challenges?
My life remains rich, and I'm filled with hope for the future for myself and countless others. I found the trick to enjoying total paralysis is simply to imagine you're in a luxury spa hotel and the maitre d' insisted you put your feet up and you don't move a muscle. It's brilliant. The life of a sedentary pharaoh. I've discovered my inner slob. And no one complains. My diagnosis with MND has confirmed to me that joy in life, contentment, happiness, fun are far less a result of circumstances than many assume. They are an act of will. Here are my top 4 unwritten rules that I'd recommend for anyone who's unexpectedly hit by a crisis. First, remember who's boss. Nothing and nobody can stress you. You can only do that yourself. Second, accept bad luck. It's not fair, only applies to human behavior, never situations. Move on. Third, don't panic, think. All animals panic, but humans alone can think their way to calmness. And fourth, and most important, never give up. Life offers hope. Hope breeds energy. Energy creates resolve, and resolve rewrites the future. I passionately believe that it's the birthright of every human being to be able to change the universe, even when we've been brought to our knees. The point is, each of us can find ourselves crushed, simply staying alive. But each of us can also choose to rise like a phoenix and thrive. Whatever we are, whatever our background, whatever our circumstances, whatever our ambitions. Of course it's scary. But when our response to our clash of hope and fear is nevertheless to deliberately break the rules, rebel against fate, forge our own destiny, then sometimes, impossibly, we get to leave our fingerprints on everyone's future, and we change everything.
Peter, I know that before you lost your biological voice, you loved to sing. Is there any chance you could sing something for us today?
Of course, I would be honored. Here we go. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you see into your imagination.
Here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peter Scott Morgan, for being with us today. It was a truly inspirational conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to go into a little bit more detail about the work of DXC with the Scott Morgan Foundation. Peter's a huge inspiration to me and my team. I have a personal passion for how technology can be used to enhance people's lives and society. We need to make sure that technology is accessible by everyone and improves the lives of the most vulnerable. As a senior technologist from an ethnic background, I'm really conscious around diversity, equity, and inclusion, both in the demographic of the people who are part of my team, but also in the kind of projects we work on. And, in a world of many things we can pick on, we were very energized to be given the opportunity to work with Peter. I met Peter in 2019 when we kicked off our collaboration with a workathon. Think of this as a hackathon in the DXC London Innovation Centre. At that time, many separate technologies were being developed to aid Peter, but they hadn't all been brought together and integrated. So our role was to look at how verbal spontaneity and the personality retention that you've seen today in the voice and the avatar, together with how that technology was going to be integrated onto a wheelchair that was not only the mobility solution for Peter, but his life support, but going forward was going to be his primary mechanism for him to be able to communicate and talk to wider audiences. That solution was pulled together rapidly, and we've collaborated ever since. And more recently, we started to look at how these solutions that we are developing for Peter will be made available as open source, how these will be the enabler for accessibility and affordability for people with motor neuron disease, but many other disabilities. I'm really energized that technology partners and motivated IT organizations are collaborating to find solutions for these difficult issues. A lot of the participants volunteering beyond their normal duties within their organizations. I'm really pleased to mention a few of them here. So Lenovo, Intel, and Cereproc specifically I'll mention, because they've been key to what you've seen today in terms of the voice capabilities that are integrated into that avatar. There's a potential here for these solutions to rewrite the future for millions of people suffering from extreme disability and other challenging conditions. We are all going to live longer. And as we live longer, we're going to have to get used to living with some sort of disability. I'd love to think we're all going to be in perfect health as we grow older, but that's not going to be the case. We're going to survive extreme critical illnesses and require some augmented technology to help us. So if these solutions can help Peter and we can commodify these into open source solutions that are available for a wider community, I feel we can make advances for a much broader society and help redefine what it means to be human for those who need that kind of support. But beyond the physical technology for disabilities that we can solve today, imagine what this could do in the metaverse for people who can now participate on an equal footing with voice technology, avatar technology that can transform their physical limitations to be a full participant in a metaverse where they can have interactions with anyone, anywhere. So really pleased to be working on this. Thank you for listening to us today and for inviting us to your conference.